people, when they talk about non-human entities, still perceive it as within the frequency band of our world, which is tiny, ridiculously tiny. So they think of physical beings, but there are no physical beings. Everything's holographic. Everything's an illusion of physicality. This is now well known within quantum physics, never mind in other areas of research. And so when people talk about non-human manipulation of the world, I'm not just talking about entities that you could see within this reality. I'm talking about entities that operate in other realities outside of visible light and manipulate our world, our reality, through a network of bloodlines, hybrid bloodlines, which are part human and are part them. And everything is a frequency. Everything is about frequency, if you want to understand the world and how it works. And if you want to control the perceptions and control the thinking and thus control the behavior of people within this world, then you need to be able to make a frequency connection to them. Because then you've got a connection, and then you can influence their behavior. It's like plugging in. And because these bloodlines are hybrid and are partly of the frequency and nature of these entities, the frequency compatibility between the entities and these particular bloodlines that end up in the positions of power in politics and banking and the royal networks and the great institutions and corporations that direct the world, the frequency compatibility with those bloodlines and these entities is far, far closer and more powerful than it is with the general population. So what you're looking at when you're looking at a Netanyahu or a Tony Blair or a Barack Obama and David Cameron and all the rest of them is that you are looking at a possessed being, where these entities of enormous distortion with no compassion and no empathy are feeding that state, that attitude, that state of being into the possessed entity. And the possessed entity is then behaving within our reality and decision making and who to go to war with and who to bomb in line with the entity's desires. But while that connection is far more powerful with these bloodlines, for reasons I've explained, it's still possible for this force, what I call the archontic force, to manipulate the general population as well. And this is how they do it. I mentioned before that this archontic force is an energetic distortion. It's an inversion of balance, harmony, and what we call life. Thus, if people are in a high vibrational state with open hearts and joy, love, compassion, all these high emotional states, then the frequency compatibility between the distortion and them is so far apart the distortion can't influence them. So what they do is they create or they transfer their distortion, their computer virus, into human society. And as they do that with wars and fear and terror and all that, the response to that by the population is pulling them into the distortion. It's pulling them into these low vibrational emotional states. And the closer that people get into that state of frequency, the more power and influence the distortion has over their behavior. They're now getting pulled in. You know, you could symbolize it as a tornado that's pulling everything into itself. And so if we meet what's happening in the world, horrific as it is, only with fear and terror and anger and hatred, then actually what we are seeking to challenge is pulling us in even further to its control. So you get a situation where someone does harm to someone, and so someone comes in and does harm to them. Whether you're doing harm for what you think is bad reasons, or whether you're doing harm for what you think is good reasons, a bit of justice, you're both feeding the distortion. You're both getting pulled into the distortion. So in the end, the way to disconnect from its influence is to go into a vibrational state, an emotional state, a state of being that is in balance, harmony, love, compassion, empathy, and all these things. Because if we don't, then we just become expressions of that which we think we're challenging. And I see that all the time, where people think they're doing good. They go on marches and they hurl hatred and abuse at the subject of the protest. What you got? Dinner, lunch, tea.